Daniella has worked with brands like Target, Snapchat, Walgreens, eBay, iHomes, Poshmark, and many more brands.
My favorite kind of partnerships are where I get to create the content that I love or that I'm already creating. Brands need to approach creators knowing that they need to pay them. Your time and your talent, you setting up your camera, making sure you have great lighting, coming up with a concept for the script, knowing that the brand is probably gonna take your video, repost it to their channels. I think that even if it's like a small fee, you have to ask.
Can you tell us about the revenue streams you have at this point in time?
At this point, I have so many.
What's your biggest deal so far with any brand?
My biggest single deal to date, which for one video, I've made dollars, and that was awesome.
Working with brands is an opportunity that some creators get. But working with the right brands is a privilege that a few creators have. When your content, your storytelling, and your style match with the right collaborations, magic happens. As a creator, you get to put up a magic show for your fans and followers. Today we have with us one such musician of a creator who has a very distinct storytelling style, who has a panache for community building, and a fun way of weaving brand stories in her social media narratives. Let's welcome Daniella Szetela, the founder of the brand Babe. Hi, Daniela. Welcome to the Fireside Chats.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Let's time to boast a little. So, Daniela has worked with brands like Target, Snapchat, Walgreens, eBay, iHomes, Poshmark, and many more brands. So, let's start from there. How did you get such big brands to work with you? Give us an example, let's say, of Snapchat or cosmetics. Tarte Cosmetics, yeah.
So Snapchat was kind of one of those like surprise things. I love a good surprise collaboration because a lot of times things are in works for forever. There's tons of correspondence back and forth, and you're like, okay, I hope I get this. But it was a talent agency that was working with Snapchat, and they reached out to me, and we did a great content partnership, and it was so much fun. My favorite kind of partnerships are where I get to create the content that I love or that I'm already creating on behalf of the platform. So that one was like a surprise one through a talent agency. And then Tarte Cosmetics, I created some UGC content for them. And that was through a relationship I had with somebody that I had made content for in the past from other brands. And I was so lucky that they thought of me for Tarte. And that was such a fun one for me because I've been wearing Tarte for forever. I mean, back in the day, I posted on my Instagram story when I was like a broke actress in LA when I was 20. And I would instead of spending my money on groceries, I would spend it on Tarte, or my dad would be a sweetheart and he knew oh, I love Tarte. So he would take me shopping at Sephora and get me Tarte. So that was so fun to just always be a fan of the brand and then actually get to create for them. So yeah, I feel like collaborations happen in all different ways. And for me, that's the fun part. I thrive off of possibility and opportunity. So I'm the one every day, in my email inbox, what do we got going on today? Or what could possibly happen? That's what really excites me about this career that I'm in.
I mean, speaking of fun parts, the way you just tell a story on TikTok and you just don't care about talking about the product even. You just go on a tangent and it's so fun. I mean, the female audience you have is 92% on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
It's just amazing. How do you know what kind of brands would be great for your audience? Is it you keep the 92% in mind or what?
Totally. I think for a brand, it has to really make sense for them. So whenever I'm pitching myself, I always am, pointing out that I have a 92%. I actually think it's higher now, 95% female audience. Something so funny. So my mom, she was my momager growing up. I would do music and she would book all our shows and stuff. But even back then, 10, 15 years ago, she always kind of put in a great thought that she put in my mind was when we were looking for sponsorships for radio tour and that sort of thing. She would always say why don't it has to be organic partnerships, relationships. Those are the easiest to get and they're usually the most fruitful. So she would always say what stuff that you're already using, on radio tour or in your music videos, that sort of thing. And let's reach out to those brands. And so I feel for creators that are seeking those partnerships, or how do I get brand partnerships, I think just stuff that's already natural. Like, what are you using every day? What's already in your videos? And then it's proof of concept for the brand. Because, and actually, I'm just going to put this out there right now. I have never partnered with Tarte Cosmetics in an actual like collaboration format, only creating UGC for them. And my videos have been going so viral while I'm using it's like their Maracuja lip plump. And I have literally thousands of comments from girls in DMs saying like, what lip color is that? Where'd you get that? And so I feel like I've got to strike up something with them next. That's like my goal, because I feel like it's so natural, it's so effortless. I think we sold them out on Amazon just because I'm like, I got it on Amazon, and it's hard to keep up with all the comments and the messages. And so I just think something like partnerships that are effortless that you're already using is a great way to start the conversation. And then when you reach out to the brand, it's not like a cold call, really. It's kind of warm because you're like, hey, I'm already using this and people are already seeing it in my videos and they want it. And I think it makes it easier.
Right. And I'm glad you touched upon this, because my next question is from, the brand's perspective, right?
Yeah.
You have worked with big brands like Tarte Cosmetics, Snapchat, you just
Mhm.
gave an example. What's the best way to, contact a creator? Let's say if I'm a
Email.
brand manager, what do I write in it? Because sometimes, let's say I'm not a big enough brand, like I'm not the A player, but I'm, let's say, B or C. So how do you like start? What do you
Mhm.
write in that first email?
Oh, yeah. And I would say like DM works too. I feel like if you're trying to reach a creator though, email is probably going to get to them faster. Um, I think brands need to approach creators knowing that they need to pay them. Um, I do think that there's some not so great stuff happening in the industry where there are so many creators that are just starting out or influencers that are just starting out, and so they're taking all these free deals. And at the end of the day, I think that that's kind of going to ruin the industry a bit. And I think that even if it's like $100, like your time and your talent, you setting up your camera, making sure you have great lighting, coming up with a concept for the script, knowing that the brand is probably going to take your video, repost it to their channels, and that should be a usage fee in itself. I think that even if it's like a small fee, you have to ask for something for your time and your talent, even if you are just starting out and you have nothing really on your
Yeah.
roster. So I'm getting all lost in this. Okay, so what should they say? So I think like approaching with knowing that they should pay, not commission only. It can be commission based, like, but have a flat fee too. Really approaching like, here's what we have to offer. What are your rates? And I feel like when brands do that, I get so excited and I have such respect for them, because when they say, what are your rates? It knows that like, it makes me feel like they want to work with me and they value my time. And that gets me really excited.
Right.
And, they might come back and say, oh, that's a little too high or whatever, but you can always find like a middle ground. And for
Yeah.
me, if it's a brand, I had a brand reach out to me the other day. They offered a rate and it was much lower than my normal rate, but I love like the mission and the message behind their brand. And I
Yeah.
know that they're just starting out. So I'm going to do it because I want to help them too. And I've had people help me along the way. And that's the only reason where I am today, is because people encouraged me to do this or do that, or told me they believed in me and that I should create content. Um, I mean, the only reason I even started TikTok was because I had several friends like tell me I should do it. Same with Instagram, which recently blew up last month. I was kind of giving up on Instagram, honestly. And one of my friends, I don't know what, she flipped a switch inside of me, but she was like, you can do this. Like, I believe in you. And something changed in me. And I've grown an audience to 75K in 1 month on
Wow.
Instagram. And it's like, sometimes you just, people have helped me. So I'm willing to help other people. Of course, like that's how the world works. And that's what you want in life anyway. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but long story short, brand approaching you, knowing that they should pay you, having that conversation. I think that that's the best way to get a creator's attention. And like keeping in mind too, if that creator is doing a good job, they're going to blow up at some point. So it's
Yeah.
in your best interest to offer them something, because you want to be on their feed when you paid a reasonable amount, now they have millions of followers, they have millions of views, you're still on
Yeah.
the feed. And that's, I've noticed lately, like TikTok, they're still pushing out videos on your feed from like 2 years ago. So those brands that I worked with 2 years ago, where my fee was much smaller, but they believed in me and they wanted to pay me, they're still getting exposure. And I think that's really cool.
Nice. So you're saying, in a way, in your first email, you should directly ask for rates
Yeah.
and have a long term view, because of course, the creator, you're believing in them in the first place. That's why you want to work. So they will become big, right? At some point, and you'll get benefited.
Totally. Exactly.
Right. I'm going to come to that, the viral part on Instagram, because, of course, that's so fascinating how fast you grew your community. But before that, what was your first amount, let's say, you made on your first brand deal?
Oh, and my first one? Oh
When
my
was it?
gosh. I feel like I've been doing brand deals since before I even had a following. Like for whatever reason, like it was inside me. I don't know if that was like from my music background and like always negotiating. I mean, if we're going back to my very first one,
Was it for
oh
your
my
music
gosh.
label? Were you part of a band or something?
I was an artist. I was a pop country
Oh,
artist.
wow.
I'm really trying to think though. Like I remember like back in the day, this was over 10 years ago when I was on radio tour,
Wow.
and it was a radio tour that like my mom and I set up ourselves. Like we didn't have a label or management or anything. And it was really cool. But one of the things that I would do is I would reach out to brands, even like for jewelry and clothes. And I would like post about them on my feed, like on the radio tour, and tag them. I wasn't getting paid for any of that though. I'm trying to think. I think my first maybe like legit brand deal was Poshmark. It was probably about 7 or 8 years ago. I don't remember what they paid. I'm not gonna lie. I don't remember what it was. It was so long ago. And then I think shortly after that, I got Target was doing a campaign with John Frieda, and that was really exciting for me because they had me go into the nearest Target near me. At that time, I was traveling with my husband full time in our RV, and we were in Idaho, and we like looked up the closest Target, went in, grabbed the product, and they had like a bunch of end caps that the product was displayed on. And that was really exciting because it was Target, like how fun. And then John Frieda, a huge hair brand, and it was both of them in one. I don't remember how much I got paid. That was so long ago.
So, Daniela, this is what we try to do on the show. We try to give what goes behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
That's why I asked you about a number, but of course, that's fine if you don't remember it. Can you like tell us about the revenue streams you have at this
Yeah.
point in time?
Yes. At this point, I have so many. It can be,
Great.
well, and when I was preparing for this, I was thinking like, hopefully I can get this all out in a way that makes sense. And I feel like I'm so blessed to have so many at this point, and I think that's why our business. So, and my husband is a huge part of the business. We work
Okay.
together on all this. We have so many, and I think that's why we've been so successful. But it's been like the craziest juggling act. So I guess I could start with saying one aspect of it is the UGC,
Okay.
which is perhaps the biggest aspect. So I'm creating content for brands. But I think that this is what's really helped me a lot. And if I could give advice to creators on what's made my business successful, instead of just doing like the one off video or even like a couple videos a week for a brand, I have spent hours and hours, and now up to this point, years studying what makes a video go viral, what makes a brand go viral, what makes an individual person influencer go viral. And now a lot of brands come to me and work with me is not only am I creating great content for them, which, side note, that's one thing that I work with creators on. Your content needs to be authentic. It needs to be relatable. It needs to be conversational, not like a commercial. That's not what UGC is. And that, like, I grew up going to acting class, and in a way, I think that messed me up a little bit because you learn this whole like scripted situation and all that. So I've really had to get out of that and just focus on like being myself and just being really natural on the camera, which is hard to do. So I help creators do that. But anyway, you have to be natural in your on camera delivery, but also offering brands monthly packages where I'm creating upfront before I even make videos for them. I'm creating a viral strategy, which there's so many things that go into play, but I'll create like a viral content strategy. And then I will create content around that viral strategy. Now, sometimes brands are just ordering the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 videos from me, and they do their strategy, they do their thing. But where I really have a lot of my income comes in is doing that kind of
Yeah.
holistic approach. And then we've really built that out over the past year. So my background, besides like living in LA and doing acting and modeling, is I worked in marketing for a while and social media management and social media strategy
Yeah.
for both small brands and big brands. So I'm really able to like offer a holistic approach to brands where I'm also doing email marketing for them. I'm helping
Okay.
them with blogs on their website and SEO. All that really plays together because it's really like some people would say like an omni-channel or holistic approach where you're able to like build momentum and elevate the brand much I guess more quickly and
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
effectively when you're doing all those things at once. So that's been a huge part of our business is that. And then I guess you would say the other part is like the influencer side, where I am able to mm, create income doing these brand partnerships on my feed, where
Right.
UGC is not on my feed, that's on the brand's feed, but then also having those influencer partnerships. And I would say like you can be a UGC creator and not have a following at all. And I really believe that. I think that it comes down to your on camera delivery and your
Yeah.
content creation. And I feel like it's rare. It's rare. And if you're somebody who is great on camera, like even if you don't have a following, I feel like you're going to make it in this industry because it's a hard thing to do to make natural looking content that feels very authentic. And
Yeah.
that's what brands are chasing after. Um, I would say those are the really the main ways we make income.
Right. So the bigger pie comes from the UGC, and
Hmm.
the second one is brand collaborations.
Hmm. Yes.
Got it. Can you give us some numbers? For example, like what's your biggest deal so far with any brand?
Oh, I can't name the brand, but I could
Okay.
say my biggest single deal to date, which for one video, which I was thought was so cool. I made $5,300 from
Wow.
one
Okay.
video, and that was awesome. So,
Sounds
um,
awesome. Yeah.
that was just so fun. That really made me feel like, wow, I'm really doing it. So that was great. And I would say people always ask me like, what's your starting, like your base for video?
Yeah.
And I think people are surprised when they hear this. I say my base for one video is $150. And that's not on my feed, of course.
Low,
That's
right?
for UGC.
Yeah.
But then from there, you have to, that's just the base. Do you
Yeah.
want viral script writing? Do you want a hashtag and hidden SEO strategy on your video? Do you want a trending song that's not going to get copyright violations? Do you want overlay text and a viral overlay hook? Well, that's all going to add
Wow.
up, but
Okay.
it's worth it. One of the brands I worked with, my first video I ever made for them, sold out their inventory.
Wow.
So when brands like give me any crap about my pricing, I'm like, no, I'll sell you out of your product. Trust me, it's going to be worth it. But I also try to keep my prices reasonable. And I do, I really do, which maybe I should change a little bit, make them higher.
Of
But
course.
I want it to be affordable, especially I work with a lot of smaller brands or like I guess medium tier brands where I understand like this is it's everything's a risk, but that's business, I think. And I think the bigger risks you take in business anyway, or the bigger success you're gonna have.
Yeah, yeah. And Daniela, what is this part of, writing a viral script? Because, everyone's trying to create something. How do you manage to stand out so many times? How do you
Yeah.
manage to get lucky, let's say? I mean, in a way, like luck also plays a part. What is your process of writing one viral script?
Yeah, I think that when I first started TikTok, I was honestly in a very low point in my life, and I was really, I shouldn't say low point in my life. I was at a low point in my profession where I felt like my dreams. I was still living in Nashville. I had just released a song and I felt like nobody cared about it. And I remember being in this very like dark space where I was like, am I chasing the right thing? Like, am I doing the right thing? And I just honestly felt really sad. And I felt like I wanted to give up. And I had multiple friends over the years, and this is actually so crazy. So the company that created TikTok was not TikTok, right? TikTok bought
Yeah, yeah.
them.
Bite down,
What?
yes. Yeah.
What?
Bite downs, I guess. Yeah.
Well, do you remember when it was like Musically
Musically, yes. It was
back in the
musically.
day?
Yep.
So
Correct.
I had a friend like literally 10 years ago say like you need to get on this app and do this, and she was doing it. I never did it. I've had so many people. I didn't even do TikTok during 2020. Like, which I
Wow.
kick myself a little bit. I wish I would have, but like, hey, that's life, whatever. I don't know why I didn't. I couldn't tell you. Because I knew about it. But I didn't get it. It didn't click for me yet. So anyway, I was in this place of like, I was feeling really down about the song I had just released. And I'm like, what am I doing with my life? You know, you don't make money from music until you really like make it. And
Yeah.
so I just felt pretty down. And I thought, you know what? I am going to try TikTok and I'm going to do it for 30 days. I have to post every day for 30 days and let's just see what happens. And that was my thing. So from that moment on, I studied. I was spending hours not just scrolling, but studying what makes a video go viral. And that's like all I did. And I went viral in my first 30 days, I think, because of that. And so I think spending so much time really studying what makes a video go viral, now I'm really able to take any niche or like brand niche or product and
Yeah.
put it in a set it up for viral success. Now, there's so many things that plays into it, and not every video does go viral. But I will say, any brand that has given me, I always say, give me 3 months, give me at least 3 months of consistent posting where I'm posting like 3 to 5 times a week. Any brand that has given me that opportunity to at least work with them for 3 months, I've gotten multiple viral videos. So that's
Okay.
why it's really important to not like just do one video for brands. Like
Right.
it takes consistency is the biggest thing when it comes to creating a viral presence online. So
Right.
I'd say like for anybody looking to do that, like spend your time studying what makes something go viral. And I do think I don't think it's like one thing every time. I think it's
Okay.
like you knowing what makes a good video, knowing the semantics of like the structure, but then also using your creative side to be like, oh, this would be really fun. Let's try this. Um, and so I think it's a little bit elusive, but it's almost like you just got to dive into it and then let your creativity come into play, and then bam, you're creating viral videos.
Nice.
And I
I
would
mean,
say
yeah.
the like if I could give like a concrete piece of advice, the first half a second is perhaps the most important part of the whole video. I know a huge mistake I see creators make. Two things. They'll have like a dead space at at the first half a second is like them just sitting there where it's very planned, like you feel like it's planned and scripted. You need to
Yeah.
start your video a half a second into the first word that you're saying to make it feel like had this great idea, you were talking about a product. Oh, let me film it. That's one thing. Another thing creators do, which you should never do. Hi, I'm Daniela. Don't start your video like that unless the brand is specifically asking you to do that,
Right.
because no one cares who you are. Like, and that's not a bad thing. They'll care who you are and like your social presence,
Yeah.
but even then, don't introduce yourself. They know who you are. Your
They know
username is
that.
right there.
Right.
Your picture's right there. But I see a lot of creators do that. Don't say your name, don't introduce yourself, get right into it. The first half a second, you're either going to grab their attention or you're not.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the start to the virality, I guess.
Nice. One more thing, Daniela, like in your content strategy, I see that you give relationship advice,
Yeah.
you give life lessons, right?
Yeah.
And you seamlessly include the brand that you have collaborated with. Can you elaborate more on how you make it so seamless? Because you keep on listening to what I was saying because it's advice that you're giving. How does the brand fit in that fits in that video?
Well, I will say that so this whole like life advice thing that I'm doing now is kind of new. I'm like a month
Yeah.
or two into it. I was doing all my stuff with stay-at-home model stuff and like teaching girls how to become full-time stay-at-home models, make an income like no matter where they live,
Yeah.
height, weight, or size. And I truly believe that you can, like I said, if you can get good on camera, you can do it. Um, those videos that you're seeing, I don't think those are necessarily brand deals, but that's what I'm talking about where I was just using those in my
Yeah.
everyday life. And so like now my next step is to hit up those brands. And actually one of the brands I was using a specific brow product in my video the other day, and one of the brands noticed it and reached out to me, and I got their email address to, potentially have a partnership with them. So it's like those those brands I'm not necessarily partnered with yet because this is so new. This whole like
Yeah.
success that I'm experiencing in this like life advice bestie FaceTime call realm. But I think that was intentional though, as far as like I'm going to use a really cool product that visually looks cool and that does a really good job. I'm going to use that
Yeah.
on my face because then I could link that to my Amazon storefront, and that will hopefully drum up natural momentum for brand partnerships. And I will say, if I'm being totally transparent, one of the things that I kind of kick myself for a little bit because I'm such a perfectionist is in the past, I feel like when you get a brand deal, sometimes you get so excited and you get a little nervous because you want it to be so perfect and you
Yeah.
want it to perform well. And I think that maybe a mistake I've made in the past is scripting it too much or thinking too much about it. And now that I've really seen how much success can happen for a product organically in just a very integrated way because of the amount of comments I get, like for example, that pink jacket I
Yeah.
am wearing, sold that out on Amazon
Wow.
within like 2 weeks of posting in it, and I didn't even mean to. I think that like if I could give creators advice, connect with brands and do brand partnerships that are very organic and authentic. But also I think that brands are making mistakes because I get so many brands that are like, we want you to do a review on your page, we want it to just be about the product. And then I say, I think you'll have about 1 million times more success in this partnership if instead of paying me one review video for my feed, pay for 5 integrated videos or whatever it is where I'm using your product and it's very natural. And sure, I can mention it, whatever. I think that that's where brands are going to see much more success when instead of paying for one video, pay for a month-long partnership where the product becomes part of my brand, like the Daniella brand. And then when a girl sees that product, they're like, oh,
Yeah.
Daniella uses that because I'm using it in like every video. So um did I answer the question? I don't even know.
You did. You did.
Okay, good.
And you also touched upon something that I was about to ask. Your Girlys only Facebook group. Like,
Yeah.
how many members you have at this point? Because it's last time I checked, it was going, like through the roof. Please
Yeah.
tell us how many are there, and how did you like manage to do it in such a short time?
Yeah. I casually posted a video, like wasn't even thinking about it. I just said like, wow, wouldn't it be so cool if there was an app that was like girlies around the world or girls around the world where at any given moment you could just pop on the app and just talk to another girl on the other side of the world. Like maybe you can't sleep because you're stressed out about something. So you want to see who's up and you want to talk to them, or maybe you're just having a bad day or you need some advice on something. And that video went viral on like every platform. And that's rare. Like usually something goes viral on TikTok, maybe
One
one on
thing, yeah, correct.
Instagram, YouTube Shorts. I have a big presence on Snapchat Spotlight. So it's like I don't know, it went viral everywhere. And I was like, wow. And I really didn't do anything about it for a minute. I did have a couple of apps approach me and see if I wanted to partner. Um, but if I'm being transparent, the apps were not necessarily what I had in my heart. Like I thought like more of a community based, girls get together and chat.
Yeah.
A lot of these apps were more like problem based, like if you have a problem, ask for advice
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Not
But I
exactly
felt
community. Yeah.
yeah, I just wanted like connection. So I talked to one of my friends about it, and she's like, "Why don't you just start a Facebook group?" And I was like, "Really? That just seems kind of like
That's
basic."
simple.
Yeah. And so I did it, and then I just started linking it. And oh my gosh, if I would have done that like at the beginning, who knows what would have happened? But I think the one, so I ended up making two. One of them is about has about 7,000 girls, and
Okay.
what's really cool is it's girls of all ages, like women of all ages too. And it's been amazing because I don't like everybody's just chatting all day long. Like it's crazy to me. And then Facebook has this cool function I didn't even know about called chats. So then I started these chats that were like, we have a Swifties chat, we have like a Girlies of Faith chat, we have a relationship problems chat, a health issues chat. And one thing we're working on actually, if anybody that hears this is interested, is female we're looking for female therapists or female doctors who would be willing to volunteer their time, like in some of these chats, just to provide support to these girls. Yeah, just to provide support and advice to these girls that need it, you know.
Yeah.
And what I've really, I guess, learned from this whole thing is like a lot of us girls are lonely. Like we don't have a lot of friends, or we don't live in a city where we like all our
Yeah.
relationships are like long distance, or like I've noticed a lot of young girls, they really don't have anybody giving them solid advice, or they don't have anybody in their life that they feel comfortable enough to open up to. And Facebook has this great feature where you can post anonymously. So we've had a lot of girls like ask for advice on pretty serious things, but they can post anonymously, so it's great, so they feel safe. And so I also started another group that's specifically 18 and up. And I think that's at a little over 1,000. I honestly
Okay.
haven't checked lately. So we have two of them, but it's just been really incredible. And what's been the most fascinating for me is seeing girls from all around the world, different cultures, different walks of life coming together. There was this adorable gal that posted from somewhere very far away. I try not to share a lot of details because everything in the group's
Yeah.
confidential.
Yeah. Yeah.
She asked, she there's no Starbucks anywhere in her country, and she
Okay.
was like, "I've always wanted to have my name on a Starbucks. Can one of you girlies order a coffee, put my name on it, and
Oh,
send me
sweet.
a photo so I can see my name on a coffee?" I'm like, that is so cute.
Yeah.
And something, a lot of us take for granted, like having your name on a coffee, and just like little moments like that where you get to connect with girls you would never meet because they live
Yeah.
so far away. And I really opened my eyes to we have so much more in common with one another than differences. And it's been like the biggest blessing to see all these girls come together, find community, find support. If anybody wants to join, it's called Call Me Back, Love You Bye. Call Me Back, Love You Bye with
Okay.
Daniella.
Okay, absolutely. We'll link it in the
Cool.
description of this video. Yeah. And yeah, speaking of, mental health specialists and psychologists, I know at least a couple of them. So I'll
Mhm.
make sure to ask them to join the group.
Thank you.
Uh,
I appreciate that.
so yeah, like coming back to the brand deals now, what are some of the red flags on both sides, or the creator
Mhm.
side as well as the brand side, and how to address them? Have you had
Yeah.
any experience, personal experience of facing these red flags?
Oh, yeah. Um, First thing that comes to mind, if a brand is not willing to sign your service agreement, I have a basic service agreement. It's so basic. It's not like this long, lengthy contract. It just outlines deliverables that I'm responsible for, payment that they're responsible for, the payment terms. It outlines, I'm not a lawyer here, but
Yeah.
mutual indemnification. A lot of contracts that brands have or whatever just have that one side saying, like, there's an issue, the creator is not going to sue the brand or whatever. I have a mutual
Okay.
indemnification clause saying, like, we hold each other liable for nothing. And that's really important. Um, and so I had a brand one time I was talking to for forever, and they just would not sign the service agreement. And that's a red flag to me. It's so basic. What are you not willing to sign? I don't
Yeah.
like that. So um, I always recommend every creator gets a service agreement. And I have one. I can send you the link if you'd like. But I
Yes,
think
please. Yeah.
another red flag is communication. Them not giving you all the details that you need, or not confirming the details before you film. One of the biggest pain points in this industry, having a career in this industry, is like refilming stuff. A lot of times I will not refilm anything for free. You have to pay a fee for that.
Extra, of course.
But if it's my fault, like there's times it's been my fault where I totally missed something. I'm like, oh my gosh, how did I miss that? And I'll refilm that for free because that's my
Yeah.
fault.
Yeah.
But you'll see a lot of brands, they actually don't know what they want. And you do something, they provide it, you do it exactly the way that they asked. And then they're like, wait, we want it different.
Yeah. Add this as well. This piece of information, something new that they will give you to add.
Yeah. And it's like, well, that's not the way it works. I did exactly what you asked. So I think like if the brand isn't willing to communicate a bunch up front, something that I recommend every creator does, I have a lengthy list of questions I send to a brand if they don't send me a brief, and it just helps everybody so much because a lot of times too brands are like a lot of brands are new to this world. I
Yeah,
mean, this is still a new space, so they don't even know what kind of info to provide. So
correct.
I do think it's the creator's responsibility also to ask the right questions so they have everything. The biggest issue I had when I started doing all this was brand pronunciation. Like sometimes brands are their pronunciation's way
Yeah,
different than you think, and then you have to refilm that, and that's a bummer.
yeah,
I'd say that that is a big red flag. Yeah, I think dialing in your payment terms is really important too, and
yeah,
making
yeah,
sure that they're willing to abide by your payment terms or that you can at least meet in the middle. I've done that
yeah.
before. So yeah, those are some red
Right.
flags.
I'm speaking of pronunciations. The world hasn't, caught up with the French names, French brand names. We still find it really difficult. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's one thing. Um, what is the weirdest brand story do you have? Like, what's the weirdest ask you have been? They have asked you to do something.
Oh my gosh, weirdest ask. I will say one time I had this weird experience where I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. And this comes back to the communication. And it was such a bummer because I loved the product. I thought it was so cool. It was this like light up teddy bear that lit up. I don't know. It was like a teddy bear lamp, but it was like neon and it was like the coolest. Like it was pink and blue and purple and it like lit up the whole room. Like maybe it would be more appropriate for like a younger girl, but I loved it. I was like, this is so cute. And shot the whole video and delivered it. And the guy was he was all mad and I was like, what's the problem? And he said that so it arrived in like once you took it out of the box, it was in another clear box, but it was like
Okay.
cheap plastic. It was damaged. There was like fingerprints on it and it just didn't look good. And it was a box. Like when do you ever like you take the product out of the box and you film it? And he was like really upset that like I didn't film the lamp in the box. Like he wanted it on my
Okay.
nightstand in the box. It was different shots of this lamp everywhere, but he wanted it in the box. And I had thrown away the box. I was like, I had no idea. Like you didn't put that in the instructions, and it was like a clear crinkled box. Why would you keep that in there? And so a lot of times people are really nice and they're really reasonable, but he was not having it. And I never cancel an order, like ever. I
Yeah.
always do whatever it takes to make it happen. I think that's the only order I've ever canceled. I was kind of mad because he was being really rude. And I was like, you know what? Life is too short to be dealing with people that are disrespectful.
Yeah.
That was a weird one for me because I'm like, why would I leave it in the box? I don't know. It just seems strange. Um, yeah. So I guess that was a weird one.
Last couple of questions, Daniela. What are you looking to do next? What's the next thing that excites you the most right now?
Yeah, I have my podcast and I'm
Oh,
loving it.
okay.
My best friend does it with me, and it's just like the ultimate girl talk session. And we have so much fun. We've known each other since high school. Her name is
Wow.
Stephanie. And so we just have like the best time together anyway. But then to like capture it on a podcast, and it's become a really positive thing to um, it's cool how it all worked out. I started that before I even was doing stuff on my Instagram. It all just aligns very well. I'm really excited about that, but also just I'm most excited about my new Instagram following
Yeah.
because it is so community based. I wake up to hundreds of comments every morning, and it's like so cool to. It's one thing to create content that you love, but then also creating content you love that helps people. It's
Yeah.
been
It's
like the
fulfilling.
biggest
Yeah.
blessing. And
Yeah.
so just I'm so excited about that. And my goal for this year is to really spend more time making money, like doing the things that I love.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think that moving into that space, hopefully brand deals and sponsorships and getting to help more girls around the world, that's like where my heart has always been at, even since I was like a 10-year old. And so getting to finally move into that has been so cool. And so yeah, creating more of my own stuff. I
Yeah.
have been spending more time on YouTube lately creating for there. So moving into like creating more of my own stuff, I think is going to be so much fun.
Right. Last ritual we make our guests go through. Would you like to nominate anyone for our show?
Oh, yes, I would actually. My friend Mandy Brooke, she's
Okay.
amazing. If you don't know who she is, you're about to because she's blowing up so quickly.
Okay.
She is an Instagram personality, you could say. She What I love about her is her content is so authentic. She's so funny. She's hilarious and she's very creative. And she goes viral like crazy. Like she's so impressive.
Amazing.
And I personally love that it's like really funny content. Like not just anybody can make that. I can't make that. So it's a very special talent that she has. And she was actually the one that told me, and she just hit over 500K on Instagram. Like
Wow.
she's just
Okay.
blowing up. She's the one that told me, a couple months last month in December, like, hey, I believe in you. You can do this. And coming from somebody that's had such success on Instagram really made me feel like I could. And
Wow.
she's just awesome. And I mean, I really do think that she's going to be huge. Like she's going to be on tour and doing all the things. So catch her if you can, because she's blowing up.
Daniela, thank you so much for coming to the show. What you're
Yeah.
doing is commendable. You're inspiring so many people in a very fun way. I hope you continue to leave a really remarkable, impact on many girls all over the world, and of course, people as well. I certainly am a fan. So
Yeah.
we hope to see you grow as fast as possible. And remember us, do another podcast with us once you become, mega celebrity. Thank you so much once again. And thank you for watching this. If you have any comments for us, please leave them down below and reach out, follow Daniela and us, find everywhere, wherever you are. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.